Evening, and it's Mike again, and welcome to the third part of my vlog on the Swedish mission trip I did in 2015. If you've watched the last two, you know where I'm up to. I explained a little bit of the fundraising that was done uh, and my mindset behind it, and my struggles I had with listening to others, humility, how to raise cash, and my whole thought process on that. Another way that was suggested to raise money, which has been really a thing within our church, I don't know if it's done in other churches, was a meal, a themed meal. And we looked at it and thought, how can we make this unique and to the mission trip? So we did a bit of research, my wife and I, on Swedish foods that were primarily sold. It was a sit-down meal in an evening, and we had a choice of 2 starters, 2 mains, and 2 desserts. 1 vegetarian option, 1 not. And my wife, I drew out a rough sketch of a 4 or 6 page booklet with the description of the meals, what they were in Swedish and English translations, bit about the mission, picture of a table with a knife, a plate, a fork, and the Swedish translation for those. So not only was it just an information booklet and a menu, it was a bit of fun as well that people could read and have a laugh. I also took along some Swedish money that I had, so people could see that, and it was an education as well as just a bit of information. That was pretty good. It was a case of everyone gave what they wanted to give, and there was a box next to the door on the way out, and people just put in what they want. And I didn't look at it throughout the end of the night. I was just really trusting God that everybody would really have whatever God put on their heart to provide, and whatever came of it came of it. Yeah, that was a bit of chaos. My wife and I spent 3 hours shopping, I think it was, running around 2 supermarkets trying to get all the food together. We spent about 48 solid hours cooking and getting all the prep done. I looked at it and thought, let's choose classic Swedish dishes according to the internet, which is not one thing to go by. They were, and let's choose ones that are easy to prepare and made it easy for us. But yeah, I didn't. I chose some that sounded easy, but to prepare them was an absolute nightmare, especially when I didn't, again, listen to my wife on quantities, and we ended up with a little bit too much of it. So if I do a meal again for the next trip, then yeah, I should be seeking her shopping advice and not going, yeah, look, I'll do it, not a problem. So yeah, that was the main. So there's the main ways that the fundraising was done for the mission trip. So yeah, there was a couple of other ideas that I had that really didn't have time to do and didn't seem right. So we'll look at those for the next one if possible, and we'll go from there. I've just noticed my grey streak is showing an awful lot, so great. So yeah, I looked at the cheapest way to travel, like I briefly covered in the last one. The easiest way, the cheapest way to travel, being perfectly honest, not necessarily the quickest or the easiest, was a late afternoon flight out of Birmingham in the UK, and that was a change in Amsterdam, and about an hour and a half stop over there, and then straight onto Arlanda in Stockholm for an 11 p.m. Landing. I'll go through the story on how fun that was when I go through day 1 of the mission and the time to go over there. And the same on the way back. It was an early morning flight out, and then getting back here for mid-afternoon. It seemed to be like Mr. Rush Hour. You're happy when you pay less. The way I travelled round Stockholm. I walked around the cities primarily. It wasn't necessarily it wasn't the quickest way at all. But the way I travelled between the cities, I did look at buses, I looked at hiring a car, I looked at trains, and the cheapest way, the most convenient way was a train. I looked at departure times of when I was going to get out of the city and into another one, when the hostels were allowing people to register to stay, when I booked my bed, and I tried to match all things up so I spent as little money as possible on that side of things. Since it did work, it did come together a lot of the time. I think there was one mad dash, and that's got a real story behind it, but I'll go through that again. That's part of one of the mission days that I'll cover on the story. What did I pack? Well, apart from the obvious being a passport, some currency, I packed a notepad and a pen. I packed 4 days of clothes. I did a little bit, I will mean a little bit of research into laundromats, and so I go from there. But I looked at some of the hostels I was staying in. Some of them had laundry sites that were advertising, so I thought I'll use those and only need 4 days. I packed my Bible, of course. I packed a full English translation. I also packed my New Testament, Psalms and Proverbs with my English and Swedish translations in it. So I had that there as well, so I could read in both. Pad and pen. Packed my phone charger. Packed my notepad. My laptop, a small laptop, and the chargers for that. And my tickets as well. I used mostly e-tickets because that's the way Sweden seems to do things. They don't tend to do a lot of things paper, and they don't tend to do a lot of things where you can buy them on the train, on the bus, and things like that. So I had everything to hand then. All I had to worry about doing was charging my phone or whatever. But I did take a precaution, not knowing whether I'd be able to charge things up all day throughout the day or where I was going. I did print my train tickets and my plane tickets off, and the brief reservation details of where I was staying on each and every occasion. And one of the good things they do is a couple of places I stayed emailed me and sent me messages on my phone, because I put my mobile phone in there, and they sent me a text message saying, just to remind you you're staying with us, and it's these are your check-in details, and we hope you have a good stay and things like that. They also sent me one saying, hope you get a great stay with us, which I thought was a very nice touch to use, just to make someone feel different, as far as they actually cared about you, which was good. The rucksack I bought was one of these extra large rucksacks. It was full to the brim. It was absolutely packed, so much that I had the tent I strapped to the outside because I couldn't fit it in, and and that was how we did that. It wasn't the easiest situations. It was I admit, I put a brave face on a lot of it. I was scared, but I trusted God in what He put on my heart and what I was following. And a lot of the people in the Bible, when God spoke to them, they showed obedience and they did it out of faith. Abraham did it. I'm not saying I'm anywhere near Abraham. Don't get me wrong. Abraham followed God's word in faith. David did. Daniel did. The disciples followed Jesus out of faith, and they kept strong. And I thought, if they could do it, if I had a fraction of that, I could do this mission that God's putting on my heart. So I had everything. We did the meal. The meal was great. I think when we did the order form for everybody, because they pre-ordered their meals, I and if I remember correctly, we had about 42 to 45 people sit down, and it was a great success. I really felt that was well. A special thanks goes out to my daughter TJ and her friend Emily, Liz, and Alan Clark, and my wife as well. You know, she was an absolute trooper through it. It's caused her a bit of pain having to do all that cooking and everything like that. You know, it wasn't the easiest physical thing for any of us to do. And, you know, though everyone who helped was an absolute trooper. You know, it was really the hardest 48, 36 hours that I'd ever thought about. I'd never thought it was going to be that hard, but it was well worth it. My daughter TJ, she decorated the hall. She put up signs for me in Swedish. I gave her an outline to say, look, I want a sign saying Välkommen till Sverige, and you know how to spell it. And she went to town. She put one letter on each page and she spelt it out, and it was huge. We got a world map in our church hall where the meal was, and she got a bit of A4 and she found out some details about populations and things like that, about the cities I was staying in, and she printed up little charts and stuck them on the wall as well. You know, and I really felt that, you know, blessed that what she'd done. It took her about 4 hours, if not more, to do what she did. She put a really lot of effort into it, and you know, it's far more than I ever expected. You know, I didn't say that I didn't tell her she had to do this. I just said, look, you know, do what you feel. Yeah, the way we did the meal was my wife and Alan and Liz were in the kitchen putting the meals together. TJ and Emily were seating people and collecting their orders and then taking the food to them and clearing the tables and resetting them. And I was supposed to be floating around, welcoming people, talking to people, which I wasn't really great at to start with, until it was pointed out to me that's what I should be doing. And then I kind of got more into the host role instead of the serving role, because I thought, you know, I'm here to serve, and that's what I wanted to do, and I should be really explaining things and things like that. So, you know, we all learn from our mistakes, and I'm learning. And, you know, if you are the hosting, if you are going to do a meal of this sort, make sure that you are there, you greet people, you pray before people sit down over the meat, over the food, over them and the food, and give thanks. And the other thing that was pointed out to me was, make sure people are aware that there is a box to put their donations in at the end of the meal. I didn't. People saw that, they were used to it. They were a church family, so they knew that was going to happen. But you know, I didn't. So if that's the way you feel led to go to raise funds for, you know, your mission, then please make sure you've learned from my mistakes. And if you do make your own mistakes, again, learn from them and let other people know. It was, you know, it was a hard run up to it. My wife and I had to deal with the longest time we'd ever been apart, and that was pretty scary for both of us since we'd really been together. So we were like, how do we keep in touch and things like that. So I didn't know, I wasn't sure about the internet connections in the hostels and things like that, and how I would deal with communications. I knew my phone company that I'm with. What Sweden is one of what they call a home company, a home country, where whatever contract I have here, I have the same over there. So I was quite blessed. My phone's got unlimited internet, so Twitter went absolutely nuts when I was over there, and I could communicate that way. So that was quite good on my phone. I had voicemail. I had landline minutes to my wife, so you know I could communicate that way as well. So that was quite good. But I found out I bought a Wi-Fi as well, topped it up with a little bit of connection, so if I needed it, then I could use it if I got stuck. And the hostels didn't have any sort of communications at all. But you know, I found out when I was there, the hostels had got far better Wi-Fi, far better internet than Our hotels here do have, it's faster, it's available, most of it's free from where I stayed, even if it's just a hostel. These aren't hotels, these were hostels, and they had free Wi-Fi. It was all, it was all very, very good. I was really blessed with where I stayed and the connections I had. So that was it. We had our struggles. We had to deal with the demons of being apart and how we would cope. So, from there, yeah. So that runs up to the day before departure on all of that. So the next vlog is going to be about departure day and going from there, really. So I'll do one day on departure day and the land on the first night, and that'll be a very short one, and then I'll do one for each city. So there'll be one for Karlstad, there'll be maybe two for Karlstad because I was there for 5 days. There was one for Helsingborg, I was there 2.5 to 3 days. Jönköping, I was there for 2 days. Stockholm, I was there for about a day, one night and a morning. So that will have, that will still have a lot because there was a lot fitted into that point. And then the 2.5 days I spent in Uppsala, and then the trip home will be another one. So that will be a brief outline of the next couple of vlogs, and then there'll be one at the end of that with maybe what's going to happen in the future. Who knows? So I hope you're enjoying this, and please, if you do get any messages or any comments or questions, leave them below. There's a subscribe button as well if you want to do that. Check out my Twitter handle, which is Sheep of Jesus. The hashtag I used when I was on mission was hashtag WFGSWE mission, working for God SWE mission. I'll put that again on the bottom of this as well. So you should be able to find those on Twitter if you want to look at that. That will show pictures of the churches I was at, that I walked around and prayed for, and my updates on as I walk around as well, and what I was feeling and what I was thinking and stuff like that. Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to making another one of these for you. And I just hope that God speaks to your heart and that you answer your calling for whatever it may be that He has for your life. God bless you all.